So I've been looking forward to this one for a while. The brand new Spicebomb Infrared Eau de Parfum. Now, for what it's worth, I really like the Eau de Toilette. For some, it was kind of a redundant release. For me, I really enjoyed it because of the red fruits note in particular. That really kind of sets this one off. And yes, it still very much smells like the original Spicebomb Eau de Toilette DNA, but with a little bit of a different type of sweetness and an overall different twist. So I do like this one a lot. The one issue that I do have with the Eau de Toilette is the performance doesn't quite hold up to something like the Extreme and even the old days of some of those old bottles of the Eau de Toilette. You know, it does lack there a little bit. Although I knew pretty much as soon as this was released that we would probably get an Eau de Parfum at some point, just like they've done with the night visions and things of that nature, and I'm sure that we're not done with those either, and I would even like to see a parfum of this, thinking way ahead, and surely enough, a couple years later, we now have an Eau de Parfum. So I'm hoping that this one fixes that performance issue. I'm hoping that it adds a little bit more variety to the DNA somehow, and we're about to find out. Okay, so here is our bottle. I had to go for the 50 milliliter just so I could get this one in a little bit quicker, which is fine. And when we compare them side by side, you'll see the Eau de Parfum has a red sticker around the middle there, whereas this one has a black sticker. And this one's obviously going to say Eau de Parfum right there towards the bottom, kind of hard to see. So yeah, you know, little small differences. In terms of the bottle gradient, it looks exactly the same. So I'm pretty sure the bottle is exactly the same, just the sticker is different. And yes, even these small 50 ml bottles come with the little pull tab, so that's always fun. And it's already ready to go. So let's give it a couple sprays and we'll see what we have going. To me, it kind of smells quite a bit different than the Eau de Toilette initially. I'm getting a lot of a spicy kind of earthy kick, good dose of sweetness, but it's kind of throwing me off because I'm not quite getting the same type of, you know, tobacco sweetness and red fruits type of smell that I was getting from the EDT. This is starting off in kind of a different way here, which is interesting. Would I call it, you know, an Eau de Parfum kind of intense style? Initially, I probably would. You know, it does seem to kind of take that existing DNA and add some more spices to it, amp it up a little bit more, make it a little bit more full-bodied and rich. I will say it also isn't what I was expecting either. I was literally expecting the smell of the original, but just maybe a bit stronger, maybe a little bit more spicy. But this one's actually kind of taking it in a different direction, which, you know, depending on which camp you're in, flankers are either going to be too redundant or they're going to be just not similar enough, right? Too close or not close enough, right? There's kind of a middle ground that can be hard to achieve. And with something like this might appeal to the crowd who wants the flankers to be a bit different, just so that it's not super repetitive. I want to take a look at the notes because this is interesting, and this is one of the key things. Top, we have pink pepper, chili pepper, and cinnamon. In the mid, we also have chili pepper and leather. In the base, we have resins and woody notes. So you'll notice they're not listing tobacco here. And again, that's one of the first things that I noticed initially. It doesn't have that same type of Spicebomb smell. You know, that DNA is pretty much iconic and known for the cinnamon and the tobacco, right? The tobacco and the spices, all that sweetness and things of that nature. This is missing the tobacco, and that's a key point that I want to point out, and that's one of the main things that's going to separate this from all of the others. And do I think it's going to be missed? For me, it definitely is, because I really like that Accord and the Spicebomb line. However, the resins, the woods, that really nice smoky chili pepper spiciness also is very nice. And I can see myself kind of gravitating towards this too if I just want a change of pace. You know, again, we have a lot of others in the line that go after that tobacco, spicy, warm DNA. So having a flanker that is kind of trying to do a similar thing, but just kind of supplementing some other notes instead, might not be a bad idea. As this one continues to settle down here on my skin, more of the resins are starting to come through. The woody undertones are kind of starting to take place as well. You know, you're getting a little bit of kind of a a softer sandalwood mixing with a little bit of a more hearty kind of spicy cedar wood, and that will also go hand in hand with the pink pepper and the cinnamon and the chili pepper and all of that stuff to kind of hone in on the spiciness. So more of that is starting to come to life as you're kind of getting away from the top notes and the initial opening. And the further it goes, the more I'm starting to like it. You know, that first spray really did throw me off. It's not at all what I was expecting. Now, you're going to have to be someone who likes cinnamon and likes warm spices to really like this one. And I think that's really going to be no surprise considering it is a Spicebomb flanker, and pretty much all of these are going to have that going on to some extent. This one is no exception, though. Again, one of the main things is going to be that lack of tobacco, which will also throw you off if you have been wearing and smelling Spicebomb for years at this point. I do think that also could be a benefit for people who just simply don't like tobacco and fragrances, and you've never been able to enjoy any of the Spicebombs because of that note. Now you have an option. And yeah, there's the night visions, but those aren't really the Spicebomb DNA. This still has some of that DNA in here, just missing one of the key notes, and it's being supplemented for some resins and woods and things like that, which I think is a pretty good way to kind of get around using that note, because it still kind of gives off this somewhat smoky, kind of rich, warm impression, just in a different way, and I do like that. Again, we're talking eau de parfum concentration. I'm hoping, with all that being said, the resins, the woods, and all of the spices, that this one will average a bit of a better performance metric than the original infrared. We'll have to see. I'm hoping so, and right now, you know, it's too early to tell. It is a little bit soft on the skin in terms of projection here to me. You know, when I've been going in to smell it, I got to get relatively close to it. And that was from a couple sprays on my hand, as you saw. So I don't think we're going to get a ton of projection, but if we could get moderate longevity, if we could get, you know, 8, 9 hours, 10 hours even, I would be perfectly fine with that. And even more would be an added bonus. Quality is great. It's what you would expect from Viktor and Rolf. They do create some premium products. The whole Spicebomb line is fantastic. Extreme, to me, is still the best one, and I think that is one of the best tobacco and vanilla designer scents on the market, at least, you know, staking right around that $100 price point. It's one of the best out there. So they do have really good quality. The only issue, again, has been performance with a few of them, but hopefully this is solved here. It's a little bit out of season for us here in the Northern Hemisphere, so, you know, maybe if it's still a little bit cold, if you're way up north, you can get some wearings in on this one, but for me, it's been kind of out of season, you know, for things like this. So going forward, in terms of me testing it for a full review, you know, that might have to be put off, because looking ahead at the forecast, it's hot. So this isn't really the best time of year for this one here for us. But fall and winter time this year, end of this year, going into next, I can see myself really doubling down on this one and giving it, you know, some really good wearings and kind of see where it's at from there. Because, again, I do like it. It's a nice little different take, and that's kind of what I was hoping for. It was just unexpected. Okay, guys, that's going to do it for me. Spicebomb Infrared Eau de Parfum. I like it. It's different in a good way, though. And I think if you guys are kind of after a little bit of a different twist on the original infrared and just all of the other Spicebombs, this would be one that would interest you. It's at retailers right now for, I don't know, $130 for, or 90 ml is what it is. And so a little bit expensive, but I'm sure at some point this will hit discounters and you can get it, you know, a little bit below 100. I think the original infrared has dropped into, I think sometimes the 80s, 90s, somewhere around in there, maybe even a bit less sometimes. So, you know, once you can get it for that price, it'll be a much better purchase. Okay, guys, that's going to do it for me. Spicebomb Infrared Eau de Parfum. I do have a mailing list you can sign up to. If you want to be notified of when new releases like this hit discounters, or just when any good deal, something rare, discontinued, or hard to find does come up, each time something like that happens, I send out an email to my mailing list. You can hit the first link down below and sign up, and you're not going to regret it. Thank you guys so much for watching. Stay safe, stay healthy. We'll see you tomorrow with another one. Take care.